Hello students, welcome in the physics world. In last lecture we learnt about current electricity, electric current, types of electric currents, as well as some basic definitions related to Kirchhoff's laws for electric network, some numericals based on Kirchhoff's laws, as well as we learnt about the steps followed while solving the problems of Kirchhoff's laws. Now we have to see here the next point of the current electricity is that Wheatstone's bridge. It is also known as the Wheatstone's network, which was originally developed by Charles Wheatstone to measure the values of unknown resistances. It is also used for calibrating measuring instruments, voltmeters as well as ammeters. First of all, we have to see here the construction of the Wheatstone's bridge. See here in Wheatstone's network, there are four resistances P, Q, R, S are connected to form a quadrilateral ABCD. See in this figure, P, Q, R, S are four resistances are connected to form a quadrilateral. A source of EMF E is connected between diagonally opposite points A and C through the plug key K. Okay. Again here the sensitive galvanometer is connected between other two vertices B and D. Now we have to see here a point D along this loop ADC having potential same as that of the point D along the loop ABC. See here, D is the point having potential which is same as that of the point B along the loop ABC. When this condition is carried out, that means the potential at point D, it must be equal to potential at point B. At this moment, these 2 points B and D act as an equipotential points. That's why the current passing through the galvanometer is equal to 0. That means current flowing through galvanometer must be 0. Thus, in balanced condition, even though current flows in the rest of the circuit, galvanometer does not show any deflection. That is, it gives us the null deflection or zero deflection. That's why we can say that we get here the given Wheatstone's bridge is now balanced because of only the electric current across this galvanometer is equal to 0, but this is happened only when the point B having same potential as that of the point D, or the point D having same potential as that of the point B. At this moment we get the galvanometer shows 0 deflection. That means there is no current flows through the galvanometer. This is the principle of the Wheatstone's bridge. On the basis of this principle, we have to explain here the balancing condition for this network is nothing but here P upon Q is equal to R upon S. See here, P is nothing but the first resistance, Q is nothing but the second resistance, R and S are third and fourth resistances. These are connected in this way. At that time we get here the balancing condition P upon Q is equal to R upon S, or in simple way we can write here R1 upon R2 is equal to R3 upon R4. But when R1 is here, R2 is here, R3 is in this arm and R4 is in this arm. At that time we can also explain in this way: R1 upon R2 is equal to R3 upon R4. This is the balancing condition for the Wheatstone's bridge. But when it is possible? When the potentials at B and D are same. At that time galvanometer having no current passing through it, so that it shows zero deflection or null deflection. In the simple way, the galvanometer does not show any deflection. Okay, now we have to see here the working of the meter bridge. When the key K is closed, let us see here, when key is closed, we can close this key, current passing through the circuit which starts from the positive terminal of the battery or the source. It reaches at point A. We know that according to Kirchhoff's law, the current at any junction, it can split. Like that, it divides into two parts. I is equal to I1 plus I2. That's why we can represent here. This is the junction. It goes away from the junction point. Current I1 and I2 goes away from the junction. Now the current I1 passing through the resistor P, current I2 passing through the resistor R. Then we get here, it reaches at point B. Also I2 current reaches at point D. IG current passing through the resistor G. I1 current passing through the resistor Q, because Ig is passing through the galvanometer and remaining current passing through the resistor Q. At point D also current is passing, which is entering from the galvanometer, it reaches at point D, and the current flowing through the resistor R, it reaches at point D. That means D again act as the junction point. The current enters at point D, and both currents Ig plus I2, these are passing through the resistor S. In this way, the current through Q and S are I1 minus Ig and I2 plus Ig. Okay. Now we have to see here, from figure we can write here I is equal to I1 plus I2. Now in this network we have to apply the Kirchhoff's law for the loop ABDA. See here, this is a loop ABDA. ABDA, its direction of tracing is along the direction of conventional current. That's why according to Kirchhoff's second law, by using Kirchhoff's second law, to this loop ABDA in clockwise sense, we can represent the current passing through the resistor P. It is along the tracing of loop along the path. That's why the current is same as that of the potential difference across this resistor is equal to minus I1P, because according to voltage law, if the direction of conventional current and tracing of loop is same, then potential difference across any resistor, it must be considered as a negative. That's why we can represent here minus I1P. Then current is passing through the galvanometer, as this time direction of conventional current as well as the tracing of loop is same. That's why we get here the potential difference across the galvanometer is minus IgG. It reaches at point D. Now the direction of conventional current and the tracing of loop is opposite. That's why the potential difference across the resistor R, it must be positive. From this we can represent the equation number 1, minus I1P minus IgG plus I2R is equal to 0. In this way, we can apply the Kirchhoff's voltage law to the loop ABDA. Now we have to apply the Kirchhoff's second law to the loop BCDB. For this loop, we have to apply the Kirchhoff's second law. Then we can represent here again the current passing through this resistor Q is equal to I1 minus Ig, but the direction of conventional current as well as the tracing of loop is same. That's why the potential difference is negative. That means minus into bracket I1 minus Ig through the Q resistance. That's why minus I1 minus Ig into Q, plus it reaches at point C. Then direction of conventional current and tracing of loop is opposite. That's why the potential difference is positive I2 plus Ig into S. Now again the direction of conventional current and tracing of loop is same, opposite. That's why we can represent here plus Igg. That's why the equation number 3 is written as minus I1 minus Ig Q plus I2 plus Ig into S plus Ig into G is equal to 0. This is the equation number 3. From these three equations, first, second and third, we can find that when the current passing through the galvanometer is 0, the bridge is said to be balanced. And the condition for the balance is Ig is equal to 0. This condition can be obtained by adjusting the values of P, Q, R, S. From this, we can represent here the new equation from equation number 2 and 3. We can represent here minus I1P plus I2R, because when we can apply the equation minus I1P minus Ig into G plus I2R, here Ig is equal to 0. That's why we get here only equation minus I1P plus I2R. From this we can represent the equation number 4. We get here I1P is equal to I2R. Again the next equation we can represent here minus I1 minus Ig, this is the equation, into Q plus I2 plus Ig into S, and Igg, its addition is equal to 0. Ig 0, Ig is 0, here also Ig is equal to 0. That's why we can represent here minus I1Q minus I2 S. That's why we get here equation in this way, minus I1Q plus I2S, that is nothing but I1Q is equal to I2S. That means from these two equations, number 4 and number 5, we can represent P upon Q is equal to R upon S. That means the bridge should be balanced. This is the balancing condition for the Wheatstone's network. In this way, we can explain the Wheatstone's network or the Wheatstone's bridge. Okay. Now we have to see here one application of the Wheatstone's bridge. Also, we can solve this Wheatstone's network by using the Ohm's law. The same balancing condition for Wheatstone's network can be obtained by using Ohm's law. Now we have to see here the next point, Wheatstone's meter bridge. Wheatstone's meter bridge is the modification of the Wheatstone's network which is used to determine the unknown resistance. It is an instrument which works on the principle of Wheatstone's network, so it is called Wheatstone's meter bridge. The length of wire is used of 1 meter, that's why it is also known as the Wheatstone's meter bridge. It consists of See here, first of all we have to see here the construction of this bridge, that is nothing but, see here, a thin, uniform and homogeneous conducting wire AB. Here is the wire AB, which is thin, uniform and conducting wire having same resistance per unit length. Specific resistance of this wire, it should be uniform, that's why it is same at each and every point. 1 meter length of the wire, it is stretched on the rectangular wooden board between two thick L-shaped copper metallic strips here, C1 and C2. C3 is the rectangular metallic plate which is fixed in this manner. There are producing two gaps because of this metallic strip C3, the left gap and the right gap. A meter scale is also fixed on the wooden board below the wire. See here, here is a meter scale which is connected below the wire. Now we have to see here the construction of the meter bridge. A unknown resistance X is connected in one gap, that is nothing but the left gap. See here, X is the resistance which is connected in the left gap. A resistance box which is known as the variable resistor is connected in the right gap. A cell of EMF E, plug key and rheostat, these are in series with the wire AB. One terminal of the galvanometer is connected to the junction C and the point D. Okay. The another terminal of the galvanometer is connected to the jockey, which is also known as the sliding key. The jockey is nothing but it is a metallic rod whose one end has a knife edge and which can slide over the wire AB to make the electrical connections or the electrical contact. We have to place the jockey at different points on the wire. Then the galvanometer shows the deflection, and this deflection must be on opposite sides, otherwise adjust the rheostat and the values of the resistances from the resistance box. Now we have to see here the working of this Wheatstone's meter bridge. A suitable resistance R is selected or it is taken out from the resistance box. See here, this is the resistance box. From this resistance box we have to taken out the resistance of a particular value or the suitable value, and steady current is sent through the circuit by touching the jockey on the wire at different points. The balance point or the null point D is obtained. That means the galvanometer shows zero deflection, and this point is known as the null point. That means D point is known as the null point or the balance point. Let I be the current passing through the circuit. See here, we have to explain. By using the balancing condition, we get here X upon R is equal to, see here, if we trace here the balancing network in this way, for only for our consideration, this is our resistor P, this is resistor Q, this is resistor R, and this is resistor S. For our convenience, in the Wheatstone's network, how we can relate the equation. Like that we have to apply the balancing condition for this meter bridge. We get here x upon r. See here, we can write here x upon r. Write down x upon r is equal to rad upon rdb. Okay, where rad and rdb are the resistances of the parts ad and db. See here, this one is the ad and this one is the db. This is the resistance rad along this loop and rdb for this wire. Let L be the length of wire AB. Rho be the specific resistance of the wire. From this we can represent AB the area of cross section of wire. RAD we can represent here. RAD is equal to, by using the specific resistance, rho into Lx upon A. RDB is equal to rho into LR upon A. From this we can represent here x upon r is equal to rho into Lx upon A. That means x upon r is equal to rho into Lx upon A upon rho into Lr upon A. That's why we can represent rho into Lx upon A into A upon rho into Lr. Here A get cancelled, rho get cancelled. We get here the equation in this way. X upon r is equal to Lx upon Lr. Okay. That means we can represent this equation in this way. X is equal to r into Lx upon Lx minus 100, because Lr is equal to Lx minus 100, because Lx plus Lr is equal to 100 centimeter. That's why we can represent here the equation in this way. X is equal to r into Lx upon Lr, or x is equal to r into Lx upon Lx minus 100. From this we can represent the value of unknown resistance X by knowing the values of R, Lx and Lr. Okay, from this we can determine the unknown resistances. While we can doing some experiments related to meter bridge, there are some probable errors while using the meter bridge. If the wire is not uniform, then its resistance will not be proportional to its length. So there will be an error in the value of unknown resistance. Second one is that at the ends of A and B of wire where metal strips are connected, the contact resistances are also developed. And third probable error is that the ends of wire may not coincide with 0 and 100 centimeter mark on the meter scale. Now we have to minimize these errors, or by taking some precautions we can overcome these errors. First one is that we have to use the wire of same uniform cross section or the uniform cross section. Value of R should be so chosen that null point is obtained as near close to the center of wire, and the experiment should be repeated by interchanging the positions of X and R to minimize the errors due to contact resistances. In this way we can explain the meter bridge. This method is also known as the zero deflection method or null deflection method. There are some other applications of the Wheaton's bridge are nothing but these are used in light detecting devices for measuring the changes in the pressure for measuring the changes in the strain of the circuit, used for the sensing of mechanical and electrical quantities. Also, photoresistive devices use this circuit. Thermometers also use the Wheaton's bridges for the temperature measurements, which need to be accurate, and the values like capacitance, inductance, impedance can be measured with some variations in the Wheaton's bridge circuit. In this way, we can explain the Wheaton's bridge as well as the Wheaton's meter bridge. And in next chapter, in next lesson, we can explain potentiometer and its applications. Okay, till then, good day, goodbye. Thank you.